what's going on, y'all?
Hi, everyone.
It's good to see y'all, and here we are again. This is a continuation of our Dungeons and Dragons
With our special guest, who is...
Hi, I'm Brendon. I was on some of the previous reviews for Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm kind of their D&D expert for this.
He is. He knows more about it than what we do. We just know about the figures. We don't know anything else about that, but it's okay. So that's why we have him to help us along through this review. So anyway,
do you think we should call this like part 4?
Yeah, there are other. We got part 1, part 2, part 3. This will be part 4.
Because I was thinking about that in my head. Because if you remember from the other Dungeons and Dragons videos, we split it into parts. So I think this will be part 4.
Yes.
This will be part 4. I found it on sale, actually, so it was too good of a deal for me not to pick up, so I picked it up. So this way it's a continuation of the Dungeons and Dragons. I think that there are 3 more figures that will be coming out in, I think, August.
Yes, August 3rd they're going to be releasing the Presto, that is the wizard. Is it Sheila was the thief, and Cavalier. Those 3 are going to come out, I want to say it's August 3rd.
Those characters, when they come out, they're going to be awesome. Sheila, I will get to that, but only when the character comes out. I'll explain more on that. So anyway, but today it's not about Sheila or the other 3. It is about these people. Go ahead.
And this is a 2-pack that we're looking at.
So with that said, we're going to take the camera, we're going to turn it around, and we'll see y'all here in a minute.
Stay tuned. And here we are at the reviewing area, and here is the Dungeons and Dragons 2-pack here that we're looking at. And this 2-pack concludes these 2 characters. This one is the Dungeon Master, and this is Venger.
That is correct.
And the box is like the exact same, like we saw before. So, like there at the corner, you do have the Dungeons and Dragons roller coaster here, and the kids here on the roller coaster. And you have Dungeons and Dragons and the 40th anniversary, which tells you it's been around for 40 years. And you do have the castle there. And you have the characters here, the Dungeon Master and Venger, as well as their action figures here, with the 2 dice here. And you got some warnings, ages 4 and up, and plastic-free packaging, and Hasbro. And on the top, you do have the Dungeons and Dragons logo here. And on this side, you do have a symbol.
Yeah, so to make their logo in the 70s, different. They took the "and" symbol.
Okay.
So when you would write the "and" symbol, they just made a dragon breathing fire instead of just a normal line to make it their own.
Okay. Now, that's a good way to incorporate "and."
Yeah.
And on this side, you just have a barcode there if you want to scan something.
Yeah, so that is going to be a QR code that you can scan with your phone. And it's going to bring you to dnd.com and kind of help get you started playing the game if you're interested in actually just playing D&D.
Okay.
And on here, which is really hard to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't see.
But okay, these are lettered. Like the top one here says parents, and the other one is pays, and the other one is for.
It's in foreign languages.
Yes. I was reading on the third one. It's like 4L.
It's okay. It's alright. It's alright. Let's move it on along.
It's written in these words here.
Yeah.
And there is other words here, but they're in different languages.
So on the back right there, that's the figures. So far, from what it looks like, we have Hank, Diana, and Bobby released, along with Dungeon Master and Venger. So far, that has come out in this line.
And here, that looks like the backdrop that my dad was telling y'all about.
Yes.
And on the bottom, you just have some words and attentions, Hasbro. And on this side, you have another picture of Venger and the Dungeon Master.
Dungeon Master.
I almost forgot his name.
Little short guy keeps on disappearing in the cartoon.
And on the bottom, you just have barcodes and warnings here and some other words here.
All that other good stuff. So, Colton, do you want my knife to open it, or can you open it?
I actually do.
So, anyway, this is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, so the cool thing is they actually just released an article about D&D, about Venger, and in 2024 they're revamping D&D, and he's going to be one of the villains that are going to be coming back to the game.
Yeah, that's nice. I didn't even know that there was actual Venger in Dungeons and Dragons. So pretty much what we've seen in the cartoon, they actually have in the game.
Yeah, so when you go back to like the 80s D&D, which I think is pretty cool, you watch the cartoon, well that's the villain that you could be playing against in your campaign, and we've never seen anything like that in modern D&D. They haven't had cartoons and movies and things like that until here recently. So I think it's going to be really exciting to see how they revamp these characters.
Okay.
So it's kind of like Transformers, right? They're revamping it.
Yeah.
They're coming out with the new wave of them.
The next segment of it. Now, that would be cool if they... Would you think a new Dungeons and Dragons cartoon would work in today's time?
I think it can. I think with the technology and stuff like that, the animation has come so far. And I think it just shows, right? They're making toys that came out 40 years ago. And people are buying them. People like them.
Yeah.
Because it's really just it's a fantasy cartoon. At the end of the day, that's all D&D really is. And the same way you watched it in the 80s, you don't have to play to enjoy it. You can just watch it, and it's fun.
Yeah. Okay. Because they did add a good bit of comedy in there, along with the action and everything else that went with it. And that was pretty neat.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for where D&D's going. I think a cartoon is going to come if the movie is successful. The movie that just came out, Honor Among Thieves, I think if it makes a lot of money at the box office, they're going to make cartoons and more movies and stuff like that.
Because me and Colton, we have not seen it yet. So our expert here, he has seen it. Yeah. We have not seen it, so we're just going by his experience and what he knows and what he encountered in the movie. And what he tells me, there is a couple of Easter eggs in there where you can tell these characters from the 80s were actually put in the movie.
Yeah, so they kind of have a cameo of these characters, not Dungeon Master and Venger, but the other ones. They're in the movie, and it's kind of a cool nod to them. I can't speak maybe where the viewer is at. I've been to 3 showings of the D&D movie, and it's sold out all 3 times.
You watched it all 3 times?
I watched it 3 times. I went to the Cinemark premiere.
Okay.
That I had to buy like 2 months in advance.
Okay.
Opening night, I went 2 days after to kind of just be able to enjoy the movie, and then I just went a 3rd time because I just enjoyed it that much. I was like, well, I'll go watch it a 3rd time.
Okay.
And it was sold out all 3 times. So
wow.
I think that's pretty strong. Like I said, I can't speak for maybe the viewers add and what they are interested in, but as far as here, it was sold out all 3.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's some good information that I did not know. Why are the dice 2 different sizes?
So, with that, I was actually quite curious myself, because if you remember, I think it was Diana that came with a D20 in the last reviews, and hers wasn't that big. Mm-hmm. And you only need 7 dice to play D&D, and so they're going to give you 8 total when you buy all the figures. So what I'm thinking is that's just kind of like a collector's piece, is why it's bigger, because you really wouldn't need it if you have the other 7. It's just kind of an extra one where they all come with a dice and stuff like that.
Okay, because that's a pretty big dice.
That is a big dice. It's not the biggest dice I've ever seen for D&D.
Wow.
But it definitely is. If they're trying to give you a whole set, it definitely doesn't fit with the set.
Okay.
I've seen dice that are bigger than the Dungeon Master figure itself. Like, we have people that they have huge dice for D&D because it's kind of like cars, right? You can just customize them. However you want to customize a vehicle, you can do the same thing in D&D with your dice. And they have metal, they have plastic, they have digital. You name it, they probably make it.
All right, Colton, what else we got?
Okay, when you get both the Dungeon Master and Venger out of the box, Venger does have some assembly that you have to attach, and that is these wings here. And they just go on by that black tab there into that hole right there.
Now, he's putting that in. I just have a question. Why does he only have 1 horn? And that's funny, I guess, for me as a D&D player asking you, but why does he have 1 horn in the cartoon?
Hey, if y'all know down there in the comments, let us know why Venger only has 1 horn. Did the other one get knocked off in battle or something? I don't know. That's a very good question that I have no answer for. Maybe it's just the way the artist drew him. and that's just the way it is, or is there actually an explanation why he has no horn on the other side?
Because, okay, so I guess a quick history question for you. When this cartoon came out, was that part of the 80s with the religious, with that?
Yes, at that time there was, well, I mean, you had stuff like Conan the Barbarian and stuff like that in that same era range, but you also had ninjas that were coming up, a bunch of ninja shows, and
because I only asked that because when you see the two horns, the symbolism, maybe in the 80s they didn't want that on a cartoon because of that time period.
maybe.
If you put two horns on him versus just one, that's all I could, I guess, really think of with it. But
I don't know. That's a very good question. I think it's just the way the creators made him, the artist. I think that's going to be pushed in a little bit harder. Can it go in anymore? Or maybe that's about it.
I think so, but and I tried to like see if it can go in. Like I tried to wiggle it to see if it'll go in, but I think it's about to get to the point where it's about to break. So I'm not gonna try and force it in.
Now, explain to me the camaraderie between these two. Isn't one of them an uncle and a son? Or something? There's some type of combination here that makes them both join. As far as the cartoon, I'm not talking about the game, but as far as the cartoon, aren't these like father and son or brother or uncle and I remember seeing something about that. Somehow they are connected, both of them.
yeah, I remember hearing something about that. I don't know exactly from the cartoon as much. I know in D&D, no, he's just a villain. But in the cartoon, I do believe that there is something like that.
Yeah,
where there's some relation to push the storyline a little bit more real for the characters.
Yeah. Now, if this is tall as Venger, and I'm not saying if they're going to come out with the Tiamat, but Tiamat's got to be bigger.
Yes.
Bigger than Venger.
Yes. So they've made so many different Tiamats over the years, and you can buy her in a normal kind of scale, and then they have the Gargantuan Tiamat, and she is about 24 inches long, the Gargantuan one. So we got to think she's huge, but I would like to see them bring back a classic Tiamat build, kind of to fit this line. I don't know if they will because they've produced her so many times already that you can just buy her. But yeah, she would have to be at least twice as big as Venger to kind of keep the scale realistic.
Okay. All right.
So I think that the first figure that we're going to take a look at is the Dungeon Master here. And we'll set Venger to the side for now.
Now, explain to me, am I wrong or right when I say this? Dungeon Master is the one who is orchestrating the game.
Correct. So the Dungeon Master or Game Master, whatever you know them as, they write the story.
Okay.
They are the screenwriter, they're the director, you're playing in their world.
Okay.
So they kind of loosely will write a story, and then you and your other players can go on this adventure and do all those things. But he is going to be the one to say, yes, you can do that, or no, you cannot do that. And his word is law.
Okay.
In his game.
Okay. In his world.
In his world. And so that's why a lot of times you'll see the Dungeon Master, when he appears and disappears, he's giving clues to the players, or he's helping them, or he's like, hey, you need to go here. Well, as a Dungeon Master, which I've been many times in D&D, sometimes you have to give your players, hey, maybe y'all need to go to this city, or maybe y'all need to go do this at the castle, or hey, here's a magic item. We've seen that many times in the cartoon. And so the Dungeon Master, they really just kind of narrate the story and allow you to play it. Now, when I do look at the Dungeon Master here, I've never been bald with some very long sideburns and a red robe. But, I think it's a great depiction of what kind of a wizard would be for the cartoon, an older man.
The showing of his experience in age and his wisdom.
Yes.
And taking a closer look at the Dungeon Master himself, as you can see on his face sculpt here, he does have some green eyes here, and he does have a little bald spot here, but he still does have some hair left. And the hair does look really nice. And you said that these are kind of like sideburn.
Yeah, they're kind of like when you let your hair grow out a little bit on the sides, and it's just grown out for years.
And these sideburn things are made out of a soft rubbery material here. And he's wearing a suit.
Yeah, so it's really just kind of like wizard robes or something like that.
Wizard robes.
Yeah, it's kind of like just a robes and stuff like that your magic users would wear in D&D.
And it does have a lot of red with a little bit of gold here. And okay, yeah. He does have some gold paint around this collar here. But the hair is blocking the back of it. And he does have some more gold paint with some white here and also here and these here and on the bottom here all around. And the sleeves here do have some white around it with some gold here. And coming down to his feet, it's just casted in red plastic. And on the bottom, you just have like some writing here on the bottom of his feet.
Now, as far as his costume and stuff like that, that little medallion that's hanging on his chest, that doesn't represent anything, or does it? It's just there to be part of his costume?
Yeah, so it can interpret a lot of different things in D&D. There's so many magic items that it would take 17 episodes to list all of them. So that could be a representation of a magic item, or it could just be a medallion that he wants to wear. Okay. I do think at a certain point of the cartoon, it has some kind of power. I don't remember exactly. That's really what it is, just to represent a piece of clothing on him.
Okay.
And as for the articulation, he does not have much. But his head does move, but because of the hair, it does hinder it.
Yeah, it's very limited. And
the arms can rotate all the way around. They can move in and out. Yes. I was checking to see if it's on, like, either a soft ratchet or no, it's not. It's just friction. And the hands, and no, he does not have any elbow joints. And his hands do kind of swivel. Like, I was moving this hand, and it felt like it is on a swivel. But it only swiveled just a little bit. But I wouldn't recommend you turning it all the way around, because you may end up...
You may break it. It may break, stress, cracks, and stuff like that. You may actually break it. And that's one thing that I realized with some of these. The pin joints that connect into the wrist, some of them are more fragile than others. So you do want to take your time when you go to do any kind of hand articulation. Like, what was it? I watched one where Diana, the hand snapped off of the post because of, and I'm just going to use this little part right here for Venger right quick. That little part that Colton's going to show y'all, that's what you have to be concerned about right there.
Yes, because these are really thin pieces of plastic.
So I have heard and seen a couple of them where they just barely turned it and it snapped right off. So y'all keep that in mind when y'all purchase these figures.
I think, because we were talking about that on the last reviews, it does make me wonder if Hasbro produced these more of collectors figures, and like you buy them, you set them, and you don't touch them, versus a lot of the other figures that they sell that are meant to be played with. There may be a tougher plastic that holds all this in, where these are kind of, you open the box if you choose to do that, put them up on the shelf somewhere, and that's just kind of where they're going to sit. And then we don't have to worry about using, thicker plastic to hold things in.
And our expert made a good point, and maybe that's the reason why, they are the way that they are. And so he made a really good point, and maybe that's why it is the way it is.
And like y'all already saw, that the hands do have this hinge joint here, so you can have the hands move up and down, and they only move up and down like this, not like this, but like this. And his legs have no posability, because as you can see, it's just one piece. So his articulation is okay, because I wish he had some more. And I would like if the robe was a cloth.
A cloth kind of material?
Material. So his legs could move.
Yeah, Dungeon Master in the cartoon, he was always a short, squatty dude. He was always a short, squatty dude, had a lot of wisdom. But he always disappeared once he leaves you the clues.
Yep, because then it's all for you to go to the adventure.
Okay.
He's only going to guide you to it. And now, because that's where the real fun of the game is. I give you one piece of the puzzle. And now you and 5 other people, you've got to figure out this puzzle. That's where the fun part of D&D is.
Okay.
It's the adventure to find the other pieces and put it all together.
Okay. All right. Now, as far as the game and stuff like that, the Dungeon Master has to have a script he must stick by, or can he change up the script and keep it fluent?
So, right now, as we're shooting this, I am a Dungeon Master in a campaign that I'm playing in.
Okay.
I generally have a legal notepad, 1 page of notes. When I go to a session, 2 hours in, that piece of paper could be in the trash. Because I have an idea of what we're doing, but let's say we want to go to this town, you go to another town, well, everything I have for the first town is now gone. We're not even going there. So now I got to improv on the fly, rewrite it. That's what makes it also fun.
Okay.
As a Dungeon Master, I have to improv off of what you do.
I see.
And he doesn't come with any accessories. What you see is what you get. Yeah. He doesn't come with any accessories. And that's about it for the Dungeon Master here, so...
You want to talk about the die?
Oh, yes.
Now, this is where we're going to need our expert to help us fill in, because there's another oblong-looking strange dice, but it's a dice that goes with the game.
Yeah. So, in the game, they needed a 100 percentile for certain things in the game. And so what they did is they put 10 sides on the dice, and if you look, they all go in numbers of 10s.
Okay.
From 10 to 100.
They do.
So if he rolls that, if you want to roll it, Colton.
We'll have to.
He rolls 60. So I could say, okay, you open a chest, I need you to roll a D100 to find out how much gold you get. Colton gets 60 gold, because he rolled the 60.
Okay.
It can be used for that.
Okay, where Diana, right?
Mm-hmm.
She had a 20.
Yes.
That was her high side die.
Yes.
And that was the highest one, so now we have 100. Now, is this the most powerfulest dice in the whole thing?
No, it's rarely used, actually, in the game, unless you're doing certain things. The dice that Diana came with, the D20, is the all-powerful dice. You will roll that one 95% of the time you ever play D&D. Okay. Is the D20. A lot of these other dice are for special occasions and special abilities. With the 20, it doesn't matter what you're playing, you're going to use that dice.
Okay.
So there's really no significance, Dungeon Master, coming with this dice, except they wanted you to complete the whole set. And this is just one of the other 7 dice that you're going to use. Who do we give it to? Let's just give it to the Dungeon Master.
Okay.
And yes, this die is for the Dungeon Master here. So that's about it for the Dungeon Master. Now let's move on to the Venger here.
Now, as far as Venger, I have to say they did a good job. Like I said, all these guys who they represent from the cartoons from the 1980s, they did a good job. They look good. The plastic's pretty good, except for where it comes into the hinge and pin joints. But as far as the way they look, they're spot on with the cartoon. And this is Venger.
Yes.
Now, from what I know in the cartoon, I remember he always had a thing with Tiamat. I do not know if he was trying to overthrow Tiamat or if Tiamat was trying to kill him. I'm not sure what the relationship between both of them were. There was something there, but I don't know what.
Yeah, from what I could put together from the cartoon, it's a big villain versus another big villain, right? And our heroes are going to kind of caught in the middle of it a little bit.
Okay.
But it's really just the two big dogs on the block, and when they clash heads, they're going to fight.
Okay.
So let's get a closer look at Venger. And right off the bat, I can tell that his face here, his eyes are, well, he is looking this way here, which is to the right, but I would have liked if they were
straight.
Yes.
Straight.
Instead of looking to the right.
Now,
Or even have some interchangeable eyes.
here's something, I don't know if you do this or not, but guess what? Peter Cullen did the voice of Venger too, in the 1980s.
The same voice he did Optimus Prime.
So, he has done a lot of voice acting in cartoons, and this is just another rendition of his voice acting professionalism.
So the face sculpt that does look really nice, except for his eyes here, which I wish he was looking like straight at you instead of looking to the right, or even have some interchangeable eyes. But that's just my opinion. And he does have some white painted in teeth here. And he does have the one horn, which he is supposed to have two.
I think he only had one.
He did in the cartoon. We don't know if he was supposed to have another horn. Maybe that's just the way the artist drew him up. I don't know.
And going to the back of his head here, you just have a lot of red details here on the back of his head. And as you can already see, the wings kind of do like they're supposed to go all the way in, but I'm not gonna force it in.
If you force it, you may not be able to pull it back out. Not to say that they may go in more, but we're not going to.
And going down to his
Waist?
No, his chest here. He does have a lot of red with some black here.
As far as the way he is designed, the way he's wearing his clothes is kind of like a cloak. mixed with a bat, mixed with a long shroud hanging down off of his chest, going straight down to his feet. I don't know. Venger's always been a particular odd character, even in the cartoon. You knew that he was a dark wizard.
Yeah.
You knew that he was a dark wizard of some sort, but the way that they put him together really complements his name Venger. By looking at him in his ensemble of his physique and his clothing. So you knew he was a bad guy right off the bat.
I look at it a great design of Venger, not only for the cartoon but as a visual for D&D players, because this is what you want to see in a villain and who you're fighting. Very easy to describe this character to your players, and it's also kind of got that menacing feel about it as well. So you can, a dungeon master, you enter the dungeon and out of the shadows comes a blue-skinned figure with a red hood, has one horn coming out the side with giant black wings, and as he comes towards you, what do? It's very easy to describe this, and you immediately get that imagery. He's got blue skin, he's got a red hood, he's got a horn, big, wings, and so that's your villain. You don't want Peter Cottontail as your villain.
Yeah.
You want, this demon wizard.
Right.
Because it's kind of scary, right? What are we fighting here?
Right. Very good. Very good. What's going on with his foot? I'm just curious.
That.
He's standing on one foot.
He's doing the Scottish dance.
Can that other foot? What's going on with that other foot? You can take off them wings. Go ahead.
I'm gonna have to take off these wings.
Yeah, he's gonna put them to the side right quick. Let's see what's going on with this foot. This foot's driving me crazy, y'all.
Now, his legs do have some joints in them, like his legs, his knees, and his feet. But the problem with his legs is they're really hindered by this skirt piece, which is a rubber.
Kind of like a bendy plastic. Not real thick in material, but it's enough to bend. So I'm just curious, y'all, to see what's going on with it. Can that...
Yes, he does have some joints, which, yeah, y'all can see right there. If the lighting... There we go. You could see he does have some joints in his feet. And I am being very careful. Oh, there we go.
It may just have to be moved around some carefully.
I'm not gonna force it, because it may break.
Let me see him right quick, if you don't mind. Y'all go ahead and talk. Let me see if I can get him.
I think that this foot here is almost about to break off.
Okay.
Because I just felt it.
Right. Can he stand on his own?
Oh, yes. He can stand up on his own.
Okay. I have seen some other reviewers, and you do have to be careful with some of this because it will snap
Yes.
and break.
Yes.
So that has happened. I've seen it.
Like,
Go off into details, so. If we put too much stress on it and try and make it stand the correct way, it could snap off the foot.
like that foot right there that I was being careful to move. It almost felt like it's about to break off. So I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch it.
So we're going to go on into a little bit more of the articulation. Colton, do you think you could pull one of them hands off? Let's see.
Don't know.
Let's see if you can twist one, kind of get it loosened up and pulled off. So we can put another hand on there.
But before I do that, I have to show off the articulation.
Okay.
So for the articulation, his head does move, but due to the shape of his head, it is really limited. And the arms do move, but these do hinder it, and these are, again, made out of that same flexible material, like his skirt is. And they can move back about that far, and they can move
out just a little.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little. That's the reason for the cuts in the yes, right there, to give them a little bit more range of motion.
And he does have a elbow swivel and a bend at the elbow. And the wrists do swivel, and there is a hinge joint here. So you can have the wrists move up and down on this joint here. Okay, and he does have a ball joint at the torso. I'm guessing it is on a ball joint. I think it is. And his legs, I'm just going to tell y'all how they move. So his legs do move forward, back, in and out. And he does have a double jointed knee, which is right there.
But you're not going to be able to use that double jointed knee because of the
skirt.
Yes,
piece.
that hangs down.
And I'm looking at his legs to see if they do move in and out. Oh, yes, they do. And the feet do move up and down, and they do have a little bit of an ankle pivot. Yes. Because I just saw it moving at an ankle pivot. And that is it. Oh, and if you have the wings on his back, his arms do kind of hinder his arm articulation.
So, with that said, Colton, let's see if we can... Yeah, very carefully. You can do it. You can do it.
I don't...
Yeah.
Okay,
You can do it. Two things are going to happen. Either it's going to come off or it's going to break.
Okay. That came off real easy. Now, gonna try it. There we go. There we go. There we go. I managed to get one on. And he does come with some interchangeable hands, which are these two. And these are the only interchangeable hands that you get for this figure. Which are these effect parts here. Like he's shooting out some things.
Yeah, so he's casting a spell, shooting a magic missile. Something like that.
I'm only gonna do one because of those pegs.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and get his wings on.
Okay. Now, all right, put those to the side. Now let's talk about his dice. His big dice.
First, I'll have to get him out of the way. And this is his die here.
So that's going to be another D20, a 20-sided dice, just like Diana came with, if I'm not mistaken. His is just a much larger collector's version. You can play with it if you want to. It acts the same exact as the smaller ones. The whole set just won't kind of be the same because you'll have a bigger 20 than you will all the other ones. But there's not a dungeon master in the world that's going to say you could not use that as your 20-sided dice if you wanted to use it.
Okay, now explain to me what we was talking about here a couple days ago. You said when the dice feel like they're not as hot, you have to switch dice?
Yeah, so it's
I
kind
do
of...
not understand this, y'all. So
Okay.
this is...
So, not to go in much detail, I guess, about it, but let's say you're at the casino. Okay, let's just envision that you're at, I guess, the craps table where they roll the dice. And you lose 7 straight rolls, and they pass the dice back. Now, I want another set of dice. I done lost 7 straight times. So with this, let's say you have both the 20s. You're rolling this one, and it's not going good. You're failing and failing and failing. I'm going to push it to the side and give me that other D20. I'm going to try to get a good number out of this one. Okay. It's superstition. It's kind of that don't step on the baseball, the white line. Okay. Don't, my lucky socks. So when one dice isn't doing well, you just switch it out for another one.
Okay. I understand that logic. Okay. Okay, and he's right. That's more of a superstitious thing.
Yeah, all those dice, they're random. Don't get me wrong, they do have things called weighted dice, just like any other game. They're generally frowned upon, don't cheat when you're playing just a fun game, but almost any other dice you're going to buy at the local game store, they're all the same. It's all a game of chance of what it rolls on.
Okay. So like when he rolled it, he did 11.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 11 would be the number as far as his hit spell?
Yeah, so they have a lot of different modifiers that you would add to that number. For instance, let's say he has a +3 to hit Venger. He rolls the 11. Well, he really rolled 14. Because 11 plus 3 is 14.
Okay.
It's a modifier on the sheet. There's a lot more detail to that. But that's basically correct. You would roll this to try to hit. Roll that dice to do an ability check, skill check, saving throw. 95% of the game is around that dice.
Okay. Alright. Y'all, I'm starting to understand this more and more now.
I will tell you this, and anybody that's watching, if you want to play D&D, just get a set of dice, go to your local game store, see if there's a group. It seems complicated. After about an hour and a half of playing it, it seems a lot more simpler than what you think it is.
Okay. Alright.
And that is about it for the figures and their dice. But like y'all saw on the back of the box, these two do come with a a little
backdrop
here.
and it
First-
folds out.
First, I have to get the Dungeon Master and Venger out of the way,
Okay.
so we could see this backdrop here.
Now, y'all, I thought that was pretty cool that they added in a backdrop, and this backdrop is pretty much from the opening cartoon sequence. And there it is.
And that's the
And I have another Easter egg for you
Okay.
about this. So to you, this is a backdrop, correct?
Yes.
To me, this is a Dungeon Master screen. This is what the Dungeon Master has all of his notes behind where you can't see it. And they put the artwork on the outside for the players to see. The Dungeon Master would have it flipped around like this.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Or maybe it would go out more like this.
Okay.
To where, I don't want to break it, but if this corner here would bend a little, it then makes like a screen.
Yes.
And then this is where all your notes and your dice would be,
Yes.
where they can't see it. So it's kind of like a DM screen that's designed to go with this.
Okay. So this is where you'd be doing all your Dungeon Master stuff, and on the other side are the players.
Yes, the players on the other side of this screen. And the only reason you want that is because we live in a world where people are going to read your notes, or, you kind of want to leave it a little bit of a mystery.
Yes.
And so it kind of works like that, to where they can't read your notes, see your dice rolls, and things like that.
Okay.
and, and this is how the back of the backdrop looks, which is kind of really hard to tell. Oh, there we go. Just have to bring it down a little so y'all can see these logos here. and you could see my Transformers grapple there. But I'm trying to show y'all what it looks like.
I think it's a really cool addition for people to use this as a DM screen if they're going to get everything and be the Dungeon Master. Of course, they sell the DM screens at game stores and stuff like that. You can get other ones. But I think it's just kind of cool to put in the box with them. Or you can leave it just like this and put your figures in front of it. And it's a cool backdrop to go with all of them.
Nice.
And let's get the Dungeon Master here. And Venger.
Venger.
Or Venger.
Vanguard. There was a go-by called Vanguard, but that's not him.
I always can't get the names confused with Venger. But here's how they look with the backdrop here.
Okay. Okay. Well, I tell y'all what, we will get to our final thoughts here in a minute. That's pretty much everything that I think we needed to cover. As far as these two, we'll be back here in a minute with our final thoughts.
So, stay tuned.
So, here we are again, y'all. So, this is our final thoughts on the whole thing. Now, the Venger, we would have Venger set up right here. But remember what we said before. You have to be careful with some of these joints on some of these figures. As we was working Venger's feet to try and get him loosened up, we could feel it starting getting weaker and weaker
Yes.
at the feet. So we were scared that if we went any more, we'd probably break off the feet. So it's best just to lean him back. So this way, because we try to get him to stand, he won't stand. So
Also, for the wings, now, Brendon did helped us out. The way you attach the wings onto him, like on his back, is you just have to push it in and not just wiggle it.
Yeah, so his back is made of kind of like it looked like a hexagon. So if
Yes.
you put it in and try to screw it, all those corners are going to hit one another. Or if you just push it, it slides right off into place where it was lined up to go.
Right.
So as far as the representation of Venger, Dungeon Master, from the cartoon aspect, they did a good job. From the cartoon aspect, it looks really good. The backdrop looks really good. You know, now, like I said, the other stuff I had to ask the expert because he knows more about it than me, and me and Colton. So,
Yeah, I think they did a great depiction here. Venger as a villain, you can very easily see this as a villain in a movie or somebody that you're going to be facing. You don't want them to be nice and cuddly. You want them evil and a little bit scary. And the Dungeon Master, I think it's just a funny depiction of this wise old man who comes and kind of helps you along your journeys. And so I think they did a really good job of representing this because these aren't as much playable characters as what we call non-playable characters. So you don't get to play Venger or Dungeon Master. You get to play the Hank and Diana and Bobby, and you get to play all those. So it was really cool to see them make toys of these characters.
okay.
Although my problems with both of these, for the Dungeon Master, his articulation is okay. It's not bad, nor is it good. It's just okay, because I wish he had more in him. And for Venger, his articulation is there, but it is really limited due to this skirt piece here. Like, his lower body is really limited, but his upper body is
Not as limited.
not so much as limited. And another thing that I have a problem with Venger is his eyes, because I just wish
He's looking straight, not at an angle.
Like to the left or to the right. And oh yeah, even on the box here, he is looking to the right. Here, you can see here. Oh. And I almost knocked the camera.
He almost took out the whole station, y'all. You gotta have fun with this.
But I would have liked if he came with some interchangeable eyes, because if you want him, well, if you want to display him looking left or right or to the center, you may need to have some interchangeable eyes. But that's just my opinion.
So, y'all, this is what we got. This is the review. Hey, we thank y'all. Y'all are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. and we'll see y'all in the next review. And I'm going to let Colton wrap it up. Y'all take care.
And if you like this video, give us a like, comment, and subscribe for more. And if you want to check out some other videos you may have missed, there's a playlist set up on my YouTube channel. So, I think that's about it. So, thanks for watching. And thanks to our special guests here.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. I look forward to be back in August when the next 3 figures are released.
So, thanks for watching.